Hello, MotoAmerica fans. It's time for another episode of Off Track with Carruthers and Bice. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and you may even learn something from this unlikely pair and their special guest. The mic is yours, Paul and Sean.
Sean Bice, are you there? Are you there? Are you there?
Sean Bice is here.
Hey, Sean. Hey, everybody. It's Paul Carruthers. I'm the communications manager for MotoAmerica, and this is Off Track, our weekly podcast in which we speak about all things MotoAmerica. And Sean, who you just heard, is in Ohio. He's my cohort. We do this show every week, and it's kind of been a lot of fun, Sean, so far, don't you think?
It's been a lot of fun. Hey, I want to tell you one thing real quick. So I know people might get sick of the fact that since you're in Southern California and I'm in mid-Ohio, Central Ohio, that we talk about the weather. But I do have to tell you something today. This has been one of the mildest winters we've ever had here. But today we got a little snow last night. Not much, but it was a snow day for the kids today. So hey, today's a snow day. So we're gonna have a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Who is that talking? I heard somebody come on. You know who it is? It's Bobby Fong.
Oh,
hey!
Honestly, I was thinking when I was thinking about having Bobby on, I'm like, yeah, he's a Supersport champion now. He's probably going to big shot us, and we should do it anyway. Blah blah blah. And then next thing I know, he's a superbike rider. I'm like, oh, he's definitely not going to want to do the podcast now. He's joined that elite group of MotoAmerica Superbike racers, but. Hey, Bobby, I wanted to congratulate you. I think you're very deserving of that ride. You had a hell of a season last year with 6 wins and 14 podiums, and we know what you went through at Pittsburgh. And, but while I'm on that subject, I wanted to thank you for, I think as far as somebody who generates website traffic for us, you're number one with your crashes. So that's appreciated.
Yeah.
But the way that you came back from those crashes and Pittsburgh obviously stands out in everybody's mind. And that's basically where you were able to put that championship in your pocket. But good job and congratulations on getting the M4 ECSTAR Suzuki Superbike ride. I think it's going to be fun to watch. I think you'll do well. I think you'll be a good teammate for Tony. And congratulations. So are you on cloud 9 at this point?
Man, I'm pretty excited. I'm not gonna lie. I'm nervous as well because there is. I don't have any excuses, and not saying I had any excuses last year, but there's definitely not any this year. No, I mean I'm pretty excited. This is my first real shot on a superbike with a real superbike that actually is known for doing good and winning races. So I'm excited to get out there, and I know it's gonna be a little slow start to begin with, just because I've never been on the bike and. We haven't done testing and all that stuff. And just because there's big changes with the team and, they got a lot to do and we have a lot of riders on the team. So my goal basically is just to be there in the beginning of the season and, just build momentum and hopefully to be there in the middle to the end to at least stay in the championship hunt. It's definitely not a learning year for me. I didn't get signed to learn and, have you learn this year and get results next year. It's, it's go time. So I'm going to do everything I can to make that possible and kind of limit the mistakes, from at least last year. I did some big mistakes and I definitely got some attention from all the fans and, gave you guys some attention on social media. So that was nice.
What? I mean, this is by far will be the best motorcycle you've ever ridden, right?
Yeah, man. I wouldn't say by far, but for sure it's definitely a winning Suzuki, within recent years. So I'm excited to get on the thing, and you watch all the races from last year, and you listen to the commentators, and you hear them say, this track is a Suzuki track, this track is a Yamaha track, and until 2019, I believe that, because that's what I thought going into the 600s. It's like, hey, we're gonna go to some tracks, and the Yamahas are gonna be super competitive here, and the Suzuki just won't because. It's not a flowing bike like the Yamaha, but I don't believe that really anymore. I think the Suzuki is overall a well-rounded motorcycle. It could do, it does some things a little bit better than the Yamahas, but I think it could do anything the Yamaha does, plus some. So I think it's just everybody sees Tony's riding style and thinks, man, it doesn't do good at this track because this, but I think that's just that person's riding style. So I've been known to adapt to different bikes, and I think that's one of my big advantages this year. There's all fast riders in Superbike. Everybody's fast. I think I have something, behind me basically with all the different manufacturers that I rode and how many different riding styles I have and have to adapt to. So I think I have a big advantage coming into the season with all that knowledge behind me and having to adapt to different motorcycles. So I'm excited. I just want to be there in the beginning, you know what I mean? At least in the hunt. Nothing, I'm not expecting too much in the beginning, but definitely by the third, fourth round, I want to be definitely in contention every weekend, especially on this motorcycle, because, as we know, it is a winning motorcycle. So, but definitely want to do good at Coda too, because we all know how to do good at that track.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask you,
Yeah.
Bobby. I mean, I'm obviously you've thought of this. I'm not putting any added pressure on you, but obviously
Yeah.
Coda out of the gate is always great for Suzuki. Josh Herron had a win there last year, so I'm sure the expectation among fans is that you're gonna get your first win there too. Does that add to the pressure for you?
No, not at all. Honestly, it's every weekend there's pressure, man. It's obviously that weekend is a bigger weekend, and I've done well there in the past, but I just got to treat it like every other weekend, because if I'm going to go in there thinking I'm going to win the championship that round, it's I have another thing coming. So I'm just going to take it step by step. But I do good at that track. It definitely suits the Suzuki a little bit more, I think, just with the acceleration, and it suits my riding style. So I'm excited to get in there, but I haven't ridden the bike yet. So at the end of the day, I have yet to even ride the bike. So I don't even know. I don't know what to expect. We could all speculate now, but until I get on the bike, I'll have a better knowing of what's going to happen.
From watching Tony and from knowing his riding style, and I'm sure you've been on track with him at some point.
Mm-hmm.
What is there any way? Do you see the bikes being set up anywhere close, or do you think they're going to be pretty different?
No, I think it's going to be, just watching it, how he rides. I mean, I'm 150 pounds. I mean, I'm not sure how much he weighs. I'm sure he probably weighs 125, maybe even less.
Soaking wet.
Yeah, soaking wet. So for sure, the bikes are going to be differently. I ride the bike for sure different than him. He does stuff that I've never seen anybody do. So the bike is definitely going to be set up differently. I think more along the lines, I might have a bike set up, and this just me kind of throwing it out there, of what Roger Hayden had a few years ago. So
Yeah, I thought that same thing.
Yeah, I don't know what Heron had on his bike, and I know that it seemed like, for whatever reason, the Suzuki boys in general, as a whole, even M4, they kind of struggled at the end of the season. But I think even talking to my crew chief now, I think we'll have a similar package to Roger. But again, we're just speculating. We really don't know.
Is the first time you're going to ride it at our barber test, do you think?
The team is talking about some possibilities of probably riding it beforehand, but I don't have any details on that. The boys have been so busy working at the shop, just talking to the guys, and they have a lot going on. And, obviously we're going to try to make the bikes better for even next year. And it's just a big change for everybody, moving all the stuff from California to Alabama. It's just a lot of work for the boys. So I know they have a lot on their plate, and they're doing the best they can. So I know they have intentions on definitely riding it before Barber and after Barber quite a bit, just to get caught up a little bit and get going. Obviously, it's a big change for everybody, and even Tony, So sooner the better for me, for sure.
Yeah. I want to backtrack for a minute, Bobby, and ask you, when we talked to you before, you were not that far removed from your season, which your situation with what happened at Pittsburgh and your injuries. Health-wise, are you 100% now? Are you back fully to where you were?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I haven't, since the season ended. So I've been seeing my personal trainer. I've been going to the same personal trainer since I was 16 years old. Real knowledgeable guy, and been around for 40 years, and really, really well. So I've been seeing that type of trainer, my personal trainer, for a long time, and I've been basically helping out at the gym since the end of the season. And we do a lot of therapy stuff. So I kind of do a lot of therapy stuff on people, ultrasounding, scraping. We have a cryo sauna. We have all the works there for people doing therapy, and we got. So I do a lot of work in the gym since the season, so I haven't rode like my road bike too much and stuff like that. Just been doing a little bit focus more on the gym in this off season. But until like a few weeks ago, believe it or not, I was still feeling like I would wake up in the morning. You know, I'm definitely no spring chicken anymore, but I would still feel my foot from the injury at Pittsburgh. I would literally wake up and limp for, you know, a good 15 minutes until my body gets warmed up. But that's just accumulative injuries over a racing career. I feel like a damn football player. You know what I mean? Here in my I'm not in my 30s, but you know, I'm only 28. But still, it's like I'm definitely going to be feeling it once I hit 30s of all the injuries over the years for sure.
When you signed your contract, I mean, we talked about this with you before, how, you know, you were sort of dancing around with John over the years, and this year last year you kind of put something together and made it happen. And it's interesting how it progressed. I know at the beginning of the year, I don't know, I think we all thought you were going to do great, but the way it ended up, it was, you know, a glorious situation. And was there anything in the contract or anything said to you that, you know, if you win a Supersport championship, that, you know, you're on the Hammer team now, maybe there's something for you in Superbike? Was that ever promised or suggested?
Hell no, I wish it said that, but no, it didn't. It was, you know, you know, the John and Chris, they know what they're doing. Obviously, they saw something in me, and, you know, I delivered for them at the end of the season. And just like Martin Cardenas did years ago when he won, you know, he won the Supersport championship, they put him on a super bike, and next, you know, he was on Yosh. And I believe that John and Chris treat their guys well. You know what I mean? I delivered for them, so they delivered for me. And I know through this whole process of, you know, me being on the Superbike and stuff, they're fighting for me because I'm their guy. You know what I mean? I did something for them. They did something for me. It's, you know, they treat their riders well. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, and you know, I had the feeling after I won the championship that there was a possibility of being on Superbike. Just there was talks about it, but then when the whole thing, you know, no, I wouldn't say sideways. It just when M4 took over Suzuki's program, and I didn't know anymore because obviously, you know, Josh and Tony were on the Yoshimura bikes, and I just thought, you know, Josh would just land the Superbike ride just because, you know, he was on the team already. You know, just winning races and being fast doesn't count. It doesn't cut it anymore. Basically, it's you have to be a salesman. You have to be a celebrity on social media. So that's what sells motorcycles. And granted, I'm definitely not good at social media. I'm terrible at it. I don't post often, and, you know, it has cost me sponsorship, which that's just how the racing world is these days. You know what I mean? I hear people getting rides just because they have a lot of social media followers in motocross. So I didn't know I've got the Superbike ride originally. So I was thankful when I did, because you know, it was my social media wasn't good at all. So I'm gonna definitely make the best of the opportunity and keep riding this wave.
Okay, so in addition to you stepping up and getting a bit more pressure thrown on you, I think you've probably, with the way this has all turned out, it's got to throw a little bit more pressure on our little buddy Sean Dillon Kelly, because now it's on him to follow your footsteps and win that championship. But you know him pretty well, and I can tell you guys get along well. I think he's perfectly capable of filling those shoes. Do you agree?
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's, you know, and I definitely feel like even the M4 Suzuki, I mean, is, you know, they haven't changed a motorcycle in years, but obviously we know it's competitive. I know that the guys are even going to make the bike even better for 2020. So, yet he's gaining experience. He's riding all the time, and he definitely be better filling my shoes plus some. You know what I mean? So, he's our next young hope. You know, I mean, he's 17 years old, so he definitely needs to light the world on fire. And no pressure, Sean. But but I know the bike is. We all know the bike's capable of doing it. It's going to even be better next year, and you know, that's the goal for the kid, to just basically go out there and dominate next year, and move on to Moto2, and, you know, make America proud.
You know, it's funny. We had some fans. We pulled some fans to ask, you know, for questions, and one of those fans was Sean Dillon Kelly, and he kind of asked you, what did you think of your 2019 Supersport teammate? I think he kind of just answered that, but I think he still wanted to know the answer. So,
What do you hold on? What do
so
you say about me? Hold on. Wasn't there like a podcast where he called me a douchebag or something?
no, I don't
Oh,
think he
not
ever said
here.
that.
What? There's a no. Somebody he did a. I don't know who it was with. Or somebody asked him a question. He's like, "Yeah, what did you think about your teammate in the beginning?" He's like, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I thought he was a douchebag in the beginning.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
I didn't
He
know
did
that.
say
yeah.
he did say that because
Yeah.
I think maybe that's the persona you put off like in the first meeting.
Well, he was a
But
kid. You know what I mean? He was a kid. He
yeah,
didn't. He didn't know. He didn't know men's conversations. That's what it was.
that's right. He didn't have that man's sense of humor yet.
He was still a virgin at the time. So anyway,
You
Yeah,
know,
I remember that now.
yeah.
Bobby, I want to ask you about the Supersport class a little bit because it's funny, people are so fixated on Superbike and this idea of musical chairs. And, kind of when it all settles, it seems like we're going to have the same riders or most of the same riders with some exceptions. But, the teams are going to be changed around, but the brands are still there and some riders that are going to get some shots that deserve it. But now people are kind of looking at it and they're like, oh, Bobby Fong has gone up from Supersport to Superbike. And, we're not sure what Hayden Gillam's up to these days. So people are now looking at Supersport as being, it's always had a good number of entries. And now people are wondering about that. What do you think about Supersport this next year? And obviously SDK is a favorite to win it, but there's still going to be a lot of competition in that class. Wouldn't you think?
Oh, I believe so. Just with the rumors going on, I think the Supersport class will definitely be competitive next year, and it doesn't take much to make a 600 competitive. You know what I mean? It's not a super bike. They don't have a whole bunch of
Right.
electronics, and you know what I mean? Yeah, M4 is a big team, and yeah, we have a lot of development on the bike. But I mean, look at what Richie Escalante did. Look at what Bryce Prince did. You know what I mean? There's a handful of guys out there that actually, they weren't on crazy huge teams, but yet that the Yamaha was good. It is a good bike, and they proved that you could be up front and run with the Suzukis and stuff. So I think it's going to be good racing next year. Obviously, Sean is definitely one of the favorite, but my buddy Richie Escalante, he's proved to be a podium contender, and I think it'll be a race. In my personal opinion, it'll be Richie and Sean, but I don't know what Bryce is doing. Again, and if you think about some real good riders who actually improved in my eyes was Lucas Silva. Believe it or not, I mean there was some
Yeah.
times there was some times last year I'm like, whoa, I mean like Lucas is actually not far off pace. You know what I mean? And I know that he's making a move next year and into a different team, and I think that he might be even contention for podiums next year. And I know he's been training with Sean on off-season stuff, and they're buddies. So I think there's going to be a few guys out there might surprise us. But hopefully we need the racing good again in 600s next year for the fans' sake and for MotoAmerica and everybody. We want good racing in the U.S. That's what sells.
Well, and this is what Moto America is. I mean, the thing is, we've proven this, and it's shown in the 6 years that we've been involved in this thing. We've got guys like Alex Dumai, your teammate, who went from KTM RC Cup and Junior Cup, and then he won a championship in Twins Cup. And we're not sure what he's doing this next year, but we've heard rumors about it. So he's moving up. Ashton Yates is in Stock 1000. You're moving up to Superbike. Just because people are moving higher, that's what we want to have happen. And there are people to fill their places from the classes, the more beginner classes. So it's what we're trying to do with the whole thing. And I'm sure you're happy to see it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I like to see people moving around, and who knows what's going to happen with the Superstock champ Andrew Lee. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's going back to the
Right.
600s or he's going to be on a super bike, and if he's in a 600s, hopefully he's on a good bike and compete up front in the 600 class, because that would just make the racing that much more exciting. Unfortunately, I wish that HSBK kind of stayed in 600s to keep it competitive, or went to Superbike. You know what I mean? But that's their decision, and it would definitely be good to see PJ in Supersport or Superbike just to make those two classes more lively. So.
Mhm.
And I know that Posh is actually going to be in Stock 1000, some selected rounds next year, I believe. I think that's the rumor. So
Wow.
that'd be fun. That'd be fun to watch the Stock 1000 class next year for some select rounds. But either way, all classes have great racing, and MotoAmerica represents all the classes real well.
Paul, breaking news from Bobby Fong on Brandon Posh. Good to know.
Again, it's a small industry. There's so many rumors
Yeah,
going
there's
on.
no
You don't know what to
secrets.
believe. There's no secrets really. Everybody kind of somehow, some way, will sneak out. So
Right.
Right.
And I end up
sorry,
believing
Brandon.
it when I see
Yeah.
when the entry lists come in,
Yeah.
You mentioned it earlier about electronics and the Supersport class, and it being a little easier to make bikes competitive than the Superbike class. Going to the Superbike class on a new team with the factory level Superbike, does the electronic part of it, does that worry you as far as the amount of work or learning there might be to do to get that the way you want it to be?
Yeah, it doesn't worry me. It's just I know it's a big variable in the mix. You know what I mean? I think it might be more rider friendly for me at least. You know what I mean? Just on the fact on it might save my butt more than I could count probably because I'm a little handsy with the throttle, as you know. I've never knock on wood. I've never high sided a big bike in the years that I've raced a 1000 ever. So, but yet I go on to 600 the first year and I get shot to the moon 3 times just in my handsy throttle hand, because there is no electronics. So if anything, the electronics might save my butt more than I can count.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's, it could make or break you in the superbike class. I mean, it could really break you if you don't have the electronics at least functioning well and, in the ballpark. But we know that, M4 is going to give us good bikes, and I know the electronics package is going to be very well. So and pretty much fitted to the bike already. So I'm excited to get on there. I'm not too concerned on the electronics side. We got plenty of electronics guys behind us to make the bike well, and I know that just our guys from last year on M4, and they're going to be working with the Superbike program this year, and they'll get things situated.
Let's settle something right now, and I'm not trying to cast aspersions on any other teams.
Yeah, you are.
No, and you don't know where
Bring
I'm
the
going
drama.
with this.
Bring the drama. Everybody knows. Everybody likes drama. Bring the drama, Sean.
Yeah.
I know you're all about it.
No, well, actually, the drama will be coming in a minute, but this isn't quite as
Okay.
dramatic as I'm setting it up to be. But I want to ask you about 2017 when you were on the Kawasaki Superstock 1000. You did really well. You were, I think, fifth place, and did well. And the bike was hella fast, but it was not a superbike. The next year, you raced for Hudson, and then you raced for Road Race Factory. And can you talk about those three bikes and the fact that were any of those three bikes truly super bikes?
It was, so back to the Cowie, the Cowie definitely was not a super bike. I mean, we had, we didn't have the superbike forks. We didn't have the superbike shock that, the fancy shock that you can get. We were on K-Tech suspension. It was built in-house at latest. Granted, it was fast off the corners. Top speed definitely wasn't there. But, we had a solid crew that year, and we made the bike handle well, and it accelerated out of the corners well. So, and we had the basic bones electronics, like the second version of the Cowie's, the Kit EC or whatever it was called back in the day in 2017. So it was definitely, we didn't have much capabilities with the electronics, but it handled well, which was a good thing at some tracks. So definitely not a super bike. And then, the Hudson bike, we just had a lot of gremlins with the electronics, and there's a lot of other things happen in closed doors that, that not a lot of people knew. And they gave, Hudson gave it their best effort. I gave it my best effort, and unfortunately it didn't work out. But I moved on to the Honda team, Danny Walker's team, and we had a lot of the superbike stuff on that Honda that we had. We had a swing arm, we had the electronics, and we did the best we could, and that was more of a superbike. It had more superbike parts on there. Let's just say that it wasn't. As we know that the Honda wasn't the most competitive package in the world, at the time on that version motorcycle, and but we got some decent results out of the thing, and the team worked hard, and every weekend they gave it 110. I mean, they were known for the hardest working team in the pits, Road Race Factory at the time. So, and they worked their asses off, and granted, we didn't get the results, and I think that was just more of just the brand motorcycle we had at the time. You know what I mean? It just wasn't capable of doing it.
Mhm.
But now that I'm on the Suzuki factory Suzuki, it's definitely, we have high hopes and big aspirations to get the job done.
How well do you get along with Tony?
I get it. I mean, I don't, I know some people have problems with him on track. You know what I mean? Just how he rides, and he wants to win, and he'll do whatever it takes to win. I see. I've never raced so close with Tony at the end of a race. You know what I mean? Because I've always been on a super stock bike or something, so I battle with the Tony before, but it's always like, at the end of the race at the time when I was on a super stock class, he would always be, a few seconds ahead by the end of the race just because he was on a super bike. So I never really had to deal with him in race situations like at the end of the last lap stuff. But off the track, yeah, we get along well, and I don't see any problem there. But who knows? You know what I mean? We're all, at the end of the day, there is no friends in this industry. You could be friendly, you could be friends, but once a win is on the line, and once you see that checkered flag, and you could possibly reach that checkered flag first, I the next guy isn't my friend, even if I'm sharing a room with you. You know what I mean? There is no,
Right.
I'm not gonna, at the end of the day, I'm not racing for my teammate. I'm not gonna help my teammate out. I'm not gonna follow my teammate. It's not happening. You know what I mean? But again, I'm gonna be smart about it. I'm not gonna throw my will in on Tony if I know I can't pull away. You know what I mean? I'm not that type of racer. I don't create drama like that for the fans. I'm a smart I try to attend like I have a lot of race strategy. So I'm gonna do the right thing at the end of the day.
And you have a long relationship with Cameron, that goes
Hmm.
back to when you guys were kids. I know you guys are friendly. Again, it's one of those things where you're really friendly off the track, but he's not gonna give you an inch on the track. But you've raced with him for a long time, right?
I grew up racing with Cameron. I was always well, Cameron's like a year and a half younger than me, I believe. So he was more racing with. I raced with him growing up, but he raced against my little brother a lot, and
Okay.
and it was like either I was in like it was always weird situations. We never on par equipment at the time growing up, like meaning like when we're in 600s and stuff. So we never on like close equipment. So it was always like we never actually got to like have a head-to-head duel battle and stuff. But at the end of the day, I know Cameron's not going to give me an inch. You know what I mean? I'm going to do the same for him. But at the end of the day, we're going to respect each other because we are buddies, and I don't want to hurt anybody. He doesn't want to hurt anybody. It's nothing intentional going to happen out there. But again, we're racing for race wins and bonuses and jobs and everything. So it's definitely going to be a fun season for sure with everybody up front.
I've been over here holding my hand over my mouth because I want to go back to the Tony thing for a minute. When you were talking about Tony, I started laughing to myself. And Paul will remember when we did the podcast, a video version of the podcast. I think it was at Utah actually, with Tony, and we asked him about sharing data with Josh, and he put his hands over his eyes like he's pretending he's wearing he's got binoculars, and he's pretending
Yeah.
to show every time Heron looks at my data. You probably heard it or saw it. So I want to ask you. I mean, he did not like the fact that Heron was always looking at his stuff. You guys are probably going to share stuff within the team. Are you going to be conscious of that at all?
Um, I think at the end of the day, it's like at least like last year, like me and Sean, there's not much like electronics data we could do because we didn't have crazy electronics like that. But it made both of us better. You know what I mean? Sharing data, and at the end of the day, John and Chris run a different program. This isn't Yoshimura. You know what I mean? It's not. This is not Yoshimura. I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be John and Chris and our crew chief's decisions whether we share data or not. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I think it would be beneficial for both of us. But at the end of the day, you only could take so much data from the other person because you look at this. For example, Tony, he'll probably hold the gas on way longer and open the throttle that much faster, or whatever the case may be, and yet I can't do that, and I don't have the same feeling. Everybody has a different feeling. Everybody has a different riding style. The weight to power ratio, everything's so different. So, I mean, I think we could share data for sure, but I don't think how useful. I don't know if it would be very useful. in certain
Did
situations.
you and Sean share data? Did you guys share it?
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, at the end of the day, the Suzukis are so, it's nowhere near as sophisticated as a real superbike. Obviously, the real superbike. I mean, you have electronics, you have different swing arms, offsets, rake. You could do different links. I mean, there's 1,000 things you could change on a superbike. Yeah, on a 600 we had a good working motorcycle with good crew, good suspension, and we shared suspension and different springs and clickers and all that stuff. But that's nowhere near a superbike. But it made us definitely better as a person because, when Sean was struggling on a race weekend, he would look at my data and be like, okay, he's doing this, because we don't run completely different setups. Like, our setups are usually pretty similar, me and Sean's. But he would look at my data and like, okay, he's riding it this way, I'm riding it that way, and we kind of learn from each other on what is working or what is not working. So it's good.
Paul, do you think it's time for us to answer our voluminous listener mail right now? We got some questions from some fans. You want me to fire those out?
I think now would be a perfect time.
Okay, Bobby, you cool with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so the first one, Victoria Ann 46 asks, what training regimen do you use or find most effective to help with keeping your energy at peak performance? And I'll save the next one for after you answer that. She's got a part 2 to the question, but go ahead.
Training regimen or diet regimen? Because I think the most energy, for me at least, you know what I mean? I don't care how much I train. If I'm eating like poo, I'm going to feel like poo. Like, I mean, this off season, it's been probably the most cush off season I've had. Meaning, like, I've been training like crazy for sure. Like, I've been training harder than ever, but my diet, it hasn't been like, we all know, like, I kind of eat foo-foo. Like, you see my lunch before, race weekends, it's just like a smoothie with kale in there. You know what I mean? It's like, when I don't eat like that, one, I blow up like a balloon. Two, I just don't feel good. I have zero energy. I'm taking naps throughout the whole day. So for me personally, I always kind of do the same thing every weekend: training regimen, running, cycling, gym, cross training, all the things that everybody does. Everybody does it a little bit differently, but it's my diet. For me personally, if I don't eat halfway clean or get my vegetation in, I just feel like complete crap. So that's key right there. Hydration and vegetation.
So part hydration and vegetation. That's like you're like a cow or something. That's like cattle out in the field.
Dude, honestly, I don't know. I mean, just my body. I'm so hypersensitive to things. I mean, one, if I eat like poo, I'm gonna feel like a turd sandwich, and I'm gonna just blow up. You'll see my third chin growing. It's crazy.
I love that third chin.
You know what I mean? It's just terrible. I got more chins than a Chinese phone book. But I got a small lower body. That's what counts. But yeah, I'm very hypersensitive to food and hydration, and when I don't drink enough water throughout the day, I feel it, I see it. It's terrible feeling. It's a terrible life. Terrible life.
You might not want to lead with that. I have a small lower body thing.
Easy. Don't record me, guys.
So let me move on quickly to part 2 of Victoria Ann 46. She asked, also, can I get some Fonger gear? I would like to promote my favorite rider, and I want to point out that she spelled favorite with a U in it, Favourite. So she's Canadian, British, Australian, or something like that, I think. So how is somebody from overseas or in Canada, how do they get Fonger gear?
Well, now that I'm a famous superbike rider, I might have enough money to make some fancy kits that people could have, and maybe it could help build my social media too, since that's what I'm lacking. So a definitely work in progress. And if so, I build some Fonger gear, I would send it her way.
Awesome.
Okay, so that's a note to Victoria Ann 46. Stay tuned, because now that he's got the superbike,
it's not a no. Just say stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Yeah, stay tuned and find out for more on Fonger gear.
Yeah.
Okay, CL McCreary 81 asks, after you were offered the Superbike ride, did you still consider staying in Supersport to defend the #1 play, or was it, see ya, I'm big time, I'm gone?
Definitely not. I didn't want to consider staying in six. As soon as the Superbike was mentioned to me, I wanted to jump back up again, just because I wouldn't say I've been there, done that. I wanted to have an opportunity, a chance to win #1 play in Superbike. Granted, it will be a lot harder, but I just wanted that chance. But definitely I did think about running a number 1 plate on that 600 for a while. When the season was over, I'm like, man, it's going to be nice running a number 1 plate. I've never done that since I was a kid. So, but as soon as I heard 1000s, I was like, I'm jumping ship.
Yeah, at the banquet, didn't you have wasn't the one inside the 0 on your 50?
Yeah, that was just something clever that the team did, and our sticker guy did. So that was pretty cool. But I was going to definitely run a big gold, silver, chrome number 1 next year in the 600, just bedazzled as it can get. But not anymore.
Okay, somebody from we narrowed these down, so I got to throw in one. I did the one from. Well, let me ask you. Sean Dillon Kelly had another question. He asked us if you know how to do wheelies.
That little douchebag, him. He knows I can't do a wheelie. He knows I can't do a wheelie. And honestly, I definitely don't know how to do wheelies. I don't know how to do. Maybe I could do rolling burnouts, but I might crash and burn trying. I don't know. Honestly, I just never tried. I never tried to do a wheelie. I've tried to do like a little power wheelie, but I've never ever tried to do a wheelie ever. And I just have no intentions on doing it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But the celebrations would be a lot cooler, and my pictures would be cooler. Maybe my social media might grow. But no,
Well,
that little.
I always say when I'm the same way, and I have more respect for steering head bearings than that. I'm not going to ruin them by having the bike come down hard like that and wreck everything.
Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm scared. I'm going to admit it. I'm scared to even try.
Yeah, I mean, the embarrassment of looping that thing out would just be.
Oh, it's just terrible. I just don't even want to deal with it. Or, like you see people do wheelies and then they land and they get a crazy speed wobble. My biggest fear right there.
So somebody else from Team Hammer their question is, are you bringing back the Freddie Mercury stash?
I was asked that a lot. Even this off season, I have a lot of buddies growing out their stash and stuff. Like, man, bring back yours. I don't know. I have such thick facial hair. I look so dirty with it. I don't know. I mean, I got more compliments from the men than the ladies. You know what I mean? Which concerns me. So
it should.
I don't know, man. Maybe if I like, I don't know, maybe not trimmed it, but maybe I just have too thick of hair to maybe grow it out. But who say I might feel frisky if I do good in my first few rounds.
Sean, let me tell you something. I've actually shared a room with Bobby when we did a little Utah trip, and growing the mustache, that's not even something that should be said, because this guy doesn't have to grow it. This guy could shave in the morning and it's grown by lunch. Am I right?
Did you?
But hold on, granted, what do the ladies like? What is everybody like? What is in the world? What does ladies like? They like facial hair. So you stay being jealous about my facial hair.
The cookie duster.
And he's also still got a pair of my underwear, but we don't want to get into that.
Paul, did you have to get into the did you have to get in the shower after Bobby when you shared a room and there was like hair everywhere in there?
No, he cleaned up after himself. I'll give him that.
Okay, his hygiene's very good.
We're racers here. We have shaven bodies. We're racers. We have shaven bodies.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. That's actually funny, Bobby. You'd say that. I think that's something that a lot of fans don't know about. And I used to talk to Josh Hayes about it all the time. So tell us about that. What is the deal? You guys shave your bodies, right?
Well, most of us are cyclists, and I don't know. There's some cyclists that don't shave their legs. I shave my legs, and I think it looks better. You see more veins in your legs. It's like, man, you're lean. You're running lean. I don't know. I just like, and I have tattoos, so I definitely shave my arms to show the tattoos more. And I just don't like hair other than on my face. Sorry, guys. I know that's a little personal, but
no, it's an insight that I don't think it's something that I don't think a lot of fans realize about you riders.
The proper definition is like you could just slip into your leathers really easily without pulling your leg hair. That's the professional way. Like, why do you shave your body? It's like, yeah, when I slip on my suit, it's not pulling my leg hair. Like I could drag my knee without like pulling my legs hairs. It's like that's like a professional way to say, that you're.
Yeah, I can't use that.
Yeah.
I can't use. They always give me shit in the media center because in the media center, I am the only guy that has shaved
Yeah.
legs, but I can't use the leathers excuse. I'm like,
Yeah.
when I pull my work pants on, it makes it easier. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. I slip in my leotards a little bit easier. Yeah.
There you go. Sean, what it does, it makes your calves look a lot better if you're wearing heels.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. When you dance to that Beyonce song,
when I'm cross dressing.
Yeah.
Put a ring on it. That's the song with the high heels and everything.
Funny. Yeah.
So I have a Team Hammer question for you, and this is just, I'm going to throw it out here. So they announced their team. They indicated or intimated, however you want to put it, that they're going to be involved in other series. We know SDK is going to be racing. So there are 2 Superbike riders. It sounds like there are going to be some other riders in other classes. Can you divulge that, or can you just say there's some more announcements to come on that, or what can you tell us about that?
Well, obviously, I don't know what's completely out there right now, and obviously it's a small industry, and I know that there's going to be another 600 rider. And I do know that Alex Dumas won the championship on an SV, so I'm sure that Team Hammer, and he's young and fast and well spoken, so I'm sure that John and Chris are going to want to keep a hold of him. I'm not sure. And obviously Joe Blasius did well last year, so I mean, there's a lot of people who did well at Team Hammer last year, and I'm sure that there's some announcements coming soon.
Okay, Bobby, I got to ask this question. Paul, you and I talked about this, or you saw. So one of the questions that a fan asked us, and I'm going to use his name. It's Adam Matson, and he's been quite vocal lately on some of our commentary. And I think he's a bit of a fan of Mr. Josh Herrin. And he asked this question: why didn't Josh Herrin get the Superbike seat instead of Fong? Bobby, that's your question.
Oh, my question. That one's a hard one. Obviously,
he asked that to you. So do you want to answer it?
Oh, yeah, I'll answer it. Obviously, John and Chris saw something in me. You know what I mean? I've been I've been not a championship contender. I've been a podium contender for as long as I can remember, and I have never actually gotten a fair shot on a competitive superbike. And and Josh has had a factory ride his whole life, so I feel like I've earned my spot, and there's a reason, obviously, why he doesn't have it and I do, and that's John and Chris's reason. And I know that I'm their boy. So, Josh is a great rider. He's won races, and but unfortunately he didn't get the deal. And I'm going to ride this, like I said earlier, I'm going to ride this wave and do the best I can with this superbike ride. I'm thankful that I got it. And hopefully I could prove that guy wrong.
Well said.
Paul, this podcast got really serious for a minute there, didn't it? We went from shaving legs to that.
Well, yeah. It's just a roller coaster. Like my life is just a roller coaster of emotions. And
right. This podcast, yeah. is Bobby in a nutshell.
Oh, yeah, it's just a roller coaster. I was planning to have a good Friday.
No, you will in a minute because we're gonna let you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you got? What else you got, Sean?
No, that's it. I wanted to wrap up at least my part of this part of the thing by asking that last question because, this guy, I got to say, Adam Matson, you've been driving us nuts lately, but I know you got a lot of passion. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask directly to Bobby and please come to our races and come and talk to Bobby directly and you'll find out how good of a guy he is. Just like your boy, Josh.
You know what's good? Is he has dedicated fans like that, man. And that kudos to Josh. He has a lot of dedicated fans on his side. You know what I mean? People fighting for him, which, hell, I wish I had more on my side. You know what I mean? My fans, please step up your game. I mean, at least cause some confrontation to these Herrin fans. Jeez.
Well, maybe if you post something on social media every once in a while.
Yeah, seriously, man. Get my back, people. I mean, because I'm not going to go on there and cause drama, but kudos to Josh, man. He has dedicated fans that want to see Josh Herrin out there. It's obviously Josh is doing something right.
Sean, it's like he's replacing Derek Jeter as shortstop on the Yankees or something,
Exactly.
Oh, seriously.
Exactly.
Seriously.
Well, look,
thanks, boys.
We'll let you get back to it, and again, we appreciate you always being willing to come on here with us. And I think you're going to have a good year, and we wish you the best of luck. And either way, we'll have some fun. So good on you.
I'll let you thanks guys. And I'll let you know when I get my giant bicycle next week, and I'll be ripping it. So
yeah, well, I better get mine
kidding.
at the same
I'm
time.
I'm kidding.
I think
I'm kidding.
Are we 2 weeks away?
Yeah, we're 2 weeks away.
Oh,
counting
man.
the days.
All right.
So, all right, boys.
Well, maybe we'll get to go
Cheers,
ride them
guys.
together. Thank you.
Soon. Later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Bobby.